put in front of the camel, like the horn of today's car. If you hear the sound, even though the camel's coming, so you gotta move away from the road. Hi, I'm Andy. Today I come to the Beijing Folk Cultural Museum. This is one of my favorite museums because everything inside you can touch it. This courtyard house, quadrangle, was moved from another place a few kilometers away from here because that area was demolished. They realized the value of this house, so they break every part, mark the numbers on it. So they moved everything to this place and rebuilt it like blocks. They reassembled it. Let's take a look. We call it threshold pillar. They use it to fix the threshold. This is an old style cupboard. So here's the carving. It's a gourd. Gourd in China symbolizes happiness and fortune. And you can see this is all the copper, all handmade. On the other side is another long table. So you can see all these are made of wooden joints, so no nail was used. This is Chinese carpenter craftsmanship. It's nice. The left side, you can see the bird cage. So normally this house is used for the doorman or the servants. It's a fig. So this is a courtyard house. Okay. So this is all the address. So people cannot keep the old house, but they keep the labels for memory. This one is a bell. You can hear it. Because in old Beijing, people use a camel to transport the goods. It doesn't matter grain or building materials or coal. Everything they use a camel. So this is put in front of the camel, like the horn of today's car. If you hear the sound, even though the camel's coming, so you gotta move away from the road. This one, similar. Okay, in this room we can see some old remains from the 1950s or 60s. Because in those days, all the life necessities, daily use articles was controlled by the government, or I think it's called a portion. Everything you have to get supplied by the government. So this is called the 向阳商店, sun-facing store. The sun symbolizes Chairman Mao Zedong. Okay, when we go inside, wow. Because I was born in 1978, it reminds me of when I was a kid. It looked like this. The Chinese abacus. I learned it when I was in the primary school, but I forgot it. This is the weight. So I don't know how it works. The old telephone. This one I'm familiar. All these clocks. So I have to say these clocks, the bigger one, is from Europe. Because in the Ming Dynasty, over 600 years ago, the missionaries come to China and they bring the European clocks to the emperor. They want to preaching in China, so they have to have a connection with the emperor. The emperor is very curious about the clocks. So today in the Forbidden City, you can see hundreds of clocks made in Europe. Some from Switzerland, from England. I think a place in London called Cheapside is where they used to build clocks. And also in China, in Canton and Suzhou, and the Chinese clocksmiths, they also made the clocks. Okay, now we come to the second courtyard. So I have to say, Mr. Qian, the owner of the house, he's rich because you can see how spacious is his house. You can tell this is used to be a two water wells. They use the what's called the pulley, to in Chinese we call it lulu, so they can get the water up. And this one is the stand for the column, for the pillar. And this one is used to cut the grass so they can feed the camel or donkey or mule or horse. That's another prop up the water. Yeah, this one works like this. Yeah, when I was born, we got the running water, so I never used this before. We can see in front there is a theater. You can call it a stage. So Mr. Qian, he was loaded. I don't know what business he was in, but he was a successful businessman. So he can afford to build this huge house and with the theater. Okay, let's have a closer look. Okay. This is where the performers go in. They will come in from this entrance, and they will facing the audience here. Now, singing or perform the opera, they have a band on one side, and when they finished, and they will leave the stage from this exit. And behind it is where the dressing room, whatever. Right here we can see some of the plaques. Some can dating back to the like 1850 something, before the Opium War. Because this area is important, because in the west of Beijing, a lot of materials like coal, charcoal, lime, those materials used to supply the Beijing. And this one, 妙手回春, is a plaque for the doctors, because he can save people's life. And this one is the late Qing dynasty, one of the intellectual. This is like his title, 举人. This is nice. I like it. Okay, let's take a look. So this is the backstage. Now it's a free public museum. Everybody can come here, experience our old culture. Because we lose too much of our culture. Wow. This one is used for the people. They would practice the kung fu martial arts. They would use it to build their muscle, because they don't need to go to the gym. Okay, let's go to another courtyard. Here we can see some old original gate. This is door knocker. Anybody home? And also they would write some couplets on both sides. If you read that, and you could know the owner's education, if people, they were well educated, they would write some old teachings on their door. Wow. This side, this is the grandstone. I used it when I was a kid. Wow. This one I'm not sure. Probably like a shrine. This one is pretty new, not the original. Incense burner. Incense burner. This one could be from a temple. This one is used to smash the garlic. But this one is not. This is not one pair. This is the incense burner. Monkeys. Wow. A lot of stone carving. They used to put on in front of the threshold. And this is where they cut the wood threshold. We call it a 华表. This is the base. And this column used to put on the top. This one is called a 碧玺. You will see a lot in China. And this tablet was on the top. A lot of mosquitoes have to leave. And this is the tile. It's just a common tile because common people was not allowed to use the glazed tile. So this is one courtyard house. This is Mr. Qian's whole family. I'm not sure if he got a concubine, maybe, because they have a lot of people lived in this courtyard house. Another side door. Here we can see some glazed tile, but this one was only used by the emperor.我可以去看一下吗？我上那看一下啊，谢谢。This is the pawn shop. Right now it become a cafe. You can see this high step is used for the manager or clerk of the pawn shop. And people want to get some cash, they would down there. They have to put their hands up so I can evaluate their stuff. Why so high? I tell you later. Okay, because the pawn shop always take advantage of people when people need money, desperately need the cash, and they would take their valuable or whatever, even maybe fur clothes. But the pawn shop, they want to take advantage of people, so they give them a really, really low price. And sometimes the owners think it's humiliating. Probably they would attack the people working the pawn shop, so they have a fence, and the table is very high. So you know the reason, huh? And this is old restaurant, or you can say it's just for alcohol. So it's nice. This place, I don't say it's commercialized because every museum, they need to not educate the people. They also need to make a living. So commercialized is not bad. I think this is what our Chinese learned from the Western, from England or from US. Developed the heritage, so people not only rebuilt it and lock it, so people cannot see it. You can go there and you can spend money, or you can just take a look, window shopping, whatever. Wow, this is nice. These are not original. This is only for the Peking opera. This is for the bride. This is for the bridegroom. And you can see the red candle. This is the old Chinese bed. We call it a 架子床, bracket bed. It's all wooden parts. And this is made of bamboo. So you can sit here and scan our QR code, and you can order. And later, the waiter will bring your stuff here. This is better. When I was here before, it's just a showroom. This is good. We got a private room. It's very peaceful, very quiet. Wow. Here is the pharmacy. You can see all these drawers behind the small boxes are the traditional Chinese medicine, herbal medicine. So I have to say, this is very, very completely different with the Western medicine. But today, even our Chinese, we go to Western doctor very often because it's very effective. But I have to say, our 1,000 years civilization, you never think the poop of the silkworm is a kind of a Chinese medicine. Nothing there. Or the branch, the leaf of the cypress, ginseng, the nut of peach, almond. A lot of things clover, centerpiece, dyed silkworm, plaster. This is science. Because my grandfather, he was a Chinese medicine doctor. Maybe I'll visit him someday. So our Chinese traditional architecture, on each corner there's one column. The 4 columns, the pillars, they form the space. We call it one room. So this house is composed of 3 rooms. So 1, 2, and 3. We call it 3 bays or 3 rooms. That's the basic unit of our traditional Chinese architecture. This is the way they grind the herbs. Smash it. So in the courtyard, you can also see in the summer, it's very hot. They will make a bamboo roof in open courtyard. So it's very nice in summer. Wow, this is amazing. Because normally you want to see this. This is a traditional Chinese bed in North China. We call it a kang, K-A-N-G. And this is a brick bed. You see, it's a brick. But the stove was down there, and this is opening. And you will see this in the Forbidden City. And the people would go down there and burn a coal so they can heat the bed. And it's like it's not a floor heating, but only the bed. When I was a kid, I slept on this kind of a bed. Oh, when I sit here, it really reminds my childhood.这不是日式，这叫炕。听说过吗？对，这就是炕。So you see, we're losing our culture. Today's kids, they think, oh, this is Japanese style, the tatami or whatever. But I tell him, this is called kan, our original local bed. Wow, here we can see a teapot. This is a teapot. If you go to Sichuan, Beijing today, in certain place, tea house, they have this performance, but it's very common in Sichuan, in the park, and they will have a performance and refill the tea for you. And here is this one is original, and you can see the craftsman. It's really nice. This is a bat. Because bat in Chinese, we pronounce the fu, 蝙蝠. Happiness is 幸福. So Chinese people use the bat similar to happiness. And you'll see them everywhere in the Summer Palace or Forbidden City. I can sit here for hours. Wow, here is some nice stuff. You can see. I'm not sure it's a hardwood, but it looks heavy. This one, I don't know the English name, but we eat it. This is like a coriander. You can cook it. And also this is one of the traditional Chinese medicine we see in the drawer.